I
It's a
mean,
lot of fun.
even to your guys' point earlier, where I've interviewed people who happen to have been in Lost that they're about other projects, but I was like, oh, I have to ask them about Lost, of course, and like, what's your experience of that like? One of them was Mark Pellegrino, who, obviously
Mhm.
Jacob, and obviously I had to pick his brain about that. The other one I interviewed was Neil Hopkins, who played Charlie's brother Liam, and
Mhm.
like, neither were like particularly like huge characters in terms of screen time. But again, it kind of goes back to your point. Both really look back fondly on their experience in Lost, and that seems to be a fairly universal theme among people who are in it, from what I've noticed.
Yeah, we're finding that too. That people who were lucky enough to work on Lost, um, it stands out. Like I said, maybe it's because it was Hawaii, maybe it's
Mm.
because the cast and the crew and the writing was so good. Um, but it just seems like if you were an actor in those early 2000s, what a show to be on, like what a thing to be a part of.
Mm.
So really, it does stick out, even for, like you said, folks who were only in an episode or two, like Eric Lang, or yeah, is a great example because
Yeah,
he's
good example.
only
Yeah,
in 6 episodes,
yeah,
seven,
only a
something
handful.
like
Yeah,
that. Kind of a big part, but not, certainly on a list of lost characters. He's not making the top
yeah.
25,
Yeah.
but
Most frequently appearing, he's not very high. Yeah.
right,
But
right.
but I believe it was Eric who said in the doc, he during our interview mentioned that as soon as you got to set, you felt like you were part of this club. There was like it felt like it definitely feels like you got your membership into the Lost Club,
Mm.
and it's cool. Like
Yeah,
everybody, it seemed like everybody who came in for bit parts and stuff felt like they were embraced by
yeah.
everybody on set.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like it was a really really good working environment
Mm.
and a lot of fun uh,
Yeah.
to be a part of that. So
Yeah.
um,
I think one thing definitely that we should address in this conversation is the ending of Lost. I mean, maybe this might be updated since, but I would say Lost, Game of Thrones, and How I Met Your Mother are kind of like the trifecta of endings that people were kind of like
Mm.
either really loved or really hated. I mean, I'm personally pro
And
all
The
of those endings.
Sopranos.
I don't know about you guys, but yeah,
yeah, The
Yeah,
Sopranos.
I think The
yeah,
Sopranos is up
same.
there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I didn't love the ending of How I Met Your Mother, but all
Mm.
the rest. Um, Game of Thrones, I'm fine with. It's because I didn't read the books. I wasn't that
Yeah, yeah,
attached.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think the people who read the books hate that ending more than anyone hates the ending of Lost.
Yeah.
But I think that's, to me, that's why it warrants a documentary and why we're taking this look back is because, it is one of the worst endings of TV of all time. But the
Yeah.
people who love it, the people who get it, people who get lost,
Yeah.
it it's one of the best endings. Like they
Mhm.
really stuck the landing. And if you don't see that, this is where I'm going to get quoted out of context now, and nobody's going to take it seriously. Like they stuck the landing. Yeah, I get why you don't like the ending. You, person who's watching this who doesn't like the ending of Lost, I get it. I
Mm.
totally understand. But it was such a cathartic character moment. And, even the on island ending, like the
Oh,
story arc, like Jack's
with
story arc.
Jack. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And of course, for the people who think they made it up as they went along, the last shot with the eye closing and the first shot with the eye opening
Yeah.
and the dog. And if the dog
Perfect
doesn't
bookend.
get
Yeah.
you, you're dead inside. But that's
Right.
that's besides the point. It's just it's one of those things, and I think almost everybody we've talked to has echoed the same sentiment of like it was impossible to please everyone because people like the show for different reasons.
Hmm.
Like we talked about at the beginning, right? The
Yeah.
people who were there for the mystery and the like who done it and the science fiction spider webs and they're trying to piece everything together. Yeah,
Mm.
they didn't answer everything. They couldn't answer everything. And I get why that's upsetting. I was one of the people who was more interested in the time travel than the love triangles. But
Yeah.
I had also spent 6 years with these people, these fake made up people. Um, and they mattered to me. Like Hurley was a friend of mine that I saw every week. We hung out for an hour every week, and then we went on the internet together and tried to solve mysteries, and then we came back and hung out again. So just getting to see everybody in that church at the end come together, and the realization, like the season 6 flash sideways, it got me. I didn't know what was happening, and then that reveal you get of, this is the place you've built to come together with the people from the time and the place that meant the most to you. Like, I'm not a religious person, but God, I hope that's what it is,
Yeah, same.
Like,
same
wouldn't
here,
that be great?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be such a great ending for life? If it ended like Lost.
Really
just hang out with people you like.
Yeah.
The thing for me with the finale is, because we knew when the finale was going to happen, Jay and Jack, who were podcasters back in the day, and they're still podcasting, but they were kind of like one of the major Lost podcasts out there, put together this event in Los Angeles in like maybe a 2,000 seat theater, like classic Hollywood, Art Deco, balcony, big curtain theater at the Orpheum. And they were projecting the finale on screen. And when you're sitting in a room with 2,000 Lost fans watching this scene where all of your friends come together into this one place, like everyone was sniffling in the theater and blowing their noses up, because it was we were them.
It's moving.
Yeah.
Everyone from around the world, people you only know through this one event, just like in the show, came together one last time before going back out into whatever the unknown is. And like, so for me, the finale hit so hard because I was doing a podcast at the time. I was, in it with all of these people, and I was meeting people for the first time. I was putting faces to avatars and calling people by their usernames instead of their real names. And that's how I knew who they were. And like, none of that would have been a thing unless we all came together for the show Lost. Just like in the show, none of those people would have come together if that plane had landed in real life. Like, you know what I mean? Real life. But Saeed would never hang out with
Hurley
with Sawyer. Kate would never hang out with Boone or Shannon. Like, none of these people should have.
He didn't speak English.
And there's people I would have hung out with in that theater. And so it's one of those things that I just love about the finale. And I hope people understand, and hopefully we can get that across in the documentary, is that like Lost took place in a certain time, and it affected so many people the same way it did on the show. And I feel like bringing these people back together is gonna show that. Like, I feel like it did feel like a reunion meeting Eric. He looks completely different than his character, but he put on the glasses and you're like, I know you. I remember you.
I know
you're more than a member, you're a friend. And just talking with like Andrea Gabriel, who played Nadia and stuff. Like as soon as did we post pictures of her holding the picture of Nadia?
That's out there.
Like when you see it, it's like it's like season 6, it's like these memories just hit you because everyone looks different now. But when you see them side by side with like an object from the show, it's like you're like, you are no longer Andrea, you're Nadia. You were Nadia. So I'm hoping people get very excited about who we have showing up in the movie, because it's gonna be a great reunion seeing the faces of these folks.
I mean, I think people who don't get the ending, and it isn't like an original thought, I think people say this, but go back to that scene in the church and listen carefully to Christian, because he basically tells you everything you need to know. And if you don't understand it, you weren't listening to Christian. He tells you literally everything. It's laid out perfectly for you. And people still, I don't know.
People choose to not listen to him. And I I get it. It was people were looking for confirmation, right? So that episode came out, and I think another big problem that we've talked with people about is a lot of people did stop watching season 2, season 3, but they came back and watched the finale. Right?
Oh yeah, let's see how
Everybody
it
watched
ends.
the finale. That episode makes no sense
Mm.
if you didn't watch
No.
at least all of season 6.
Yeah.
Right.
You needed season 5. Like, you don't know who any of these, who's Juliet? You know, you're coming in watching this finale, having given up on the show just so that you could people were watching it just so that they could go online right after and be like, I told you so. They were dead the whole time.
Right.
And nothing anybody said, you know, nothing Christian Shepherd could say in the show was going to change their minds.
Yeah.
They came there to say a thing and they said the thing.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. But I think another thing that, you know, Ralph probably felt more than I did, but I felt it a lot too, is the emotional impact of Lost ending was more than just, oh, the show is over and the characters, you know, and Jack dies. Spoiler alert, Jack dies. Yeah. But
everybody does.
It's been 13 years.
It was the end.
So
every single character dies, but that's true in real life too. But it was this end of this community and this thing that did take up a part of our lives, those that listened to the podcast or made the podcast or went on the message boards. It was a part of our lives for years. And all of a sudden, there was just no more Lost. And there was like a real feeling of grief of like, oh, this show is gone. And it's not like, you know, I'm going to stand up here and be like, that defined me as a person. It was my whole personality. It wasn't, but it was a thing that I did every week for years. And it was this thing that I love talking with fans of Lost about the show, because it was a thing that if you ran into somebody, especially like seasons 4, 5, and 6, ran into somebody who loved Lost, like I would wear a shirt that just had the numbers on it. And if somebody knew what that meant, if it was those are the numbers, like we're friends. We have enough in common to hang out and talk even just about this one thing, but they're usually also into comic books or cool music or, you know, any of the other things. But, you know, especially towards the end when so many people had stopped watching it, it was this thing that connected people just, you know, from around the world. Like we're talking to you right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
That's
we
the
have
example.
this one thing in common, and then to have that thing stop happening, like there's not going to be any new Lost. It was so sad in real life. Then I was mad that the show ended. I was mad at the ending just because they took my favorite thing away.
Right.
Sure. I
I
mean,
love the secret handshake of the having a shirt with the numbers on it.
Yeah.
There, we interviewed a fan, and at their place they had on their wall a picture of Desmond and Penny, with no explanation, like as if it was family members, but it was a way for them to sort of find out who comes in their house is a Lost fan, because any Lost fan would see that picture and be like, oh, you like Lost. Like I love the secret handshakeness of like Lost. We talked to Bobby Moynihan, and he wrote a children's book about counting sheep, and it's called Not All Sheep Are Boring. Page 1, there's all the sheeps with are the sheep on the front on the first page, and they have the numbers. And so it's like the secret handshake of like, it doesn't matter to anybody, but a Lost fan will notice, and then you're my friend immediately by this secret handshake. So I love stuff like that.
And it's hidden, right? It's like the same way they do it on the show. Like the numbers are hidden. Everything that could have a number, it's going to be one of those numbers. Or 5 of those numbers. And then, you know, like to this day, you can hide it in something and nobody's going to get it. But the people who do get it,
they're going to notice, because Lost fans are so all about like looking at the details.
The detail, And
so like, dude, like doing the smallest thing you can is is amazing. I have a picture from a Comic-Con, I think 2010, where I'm wearing a Canton Rainier shirt,
Right.
which was the what was it, the laundry service that secretly was, or was, a funeral home or something, but if you rearrange the letters, it says reincarnation. It was on the side of a van that
Oh, yeah,
transported
yeah.
the body of Jeremy
The
Bentham.
florist
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
something. 'Cause
Yeah,
the funeral home
but then I
was
have a picture.
Hoff's Rainier, which was flash forward.
Mm. Oh,
But I met the writer Adam Horowitz outside of the Hard Rock Hotel because he saw my shirt.
oh, really? Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah.
So I saw the shirt, and it was like a secret handshake. He's like, "Oh, this guy's a good guy." It also helped that I also had my NCOM uh, credentials from Tron, and he wrote Tron Legacy.
Yeah,
It
he
was
did. Yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
he was like begging. It was like begging for someone like him to show up and chat with me. But secret handshakes are the best. I love secret handshake stuff, especially with Lost, because you can do anything. There's so many things. Like you could go as simple as like a Dharma patch, but then go really deep into some like a Hanzo
Yeah.
polo shirt or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, I
Yeah.
think that conversation I mentioned between Christian and Jack is like the most on the nose they ever were. Obviously, it's at the very end, but it was literally, Jack's the audience, Christian is the writers, and they're basically laying it all out. And that's the most kind of like in your face. This is what we're telling you that they ever got.
Right.
Most of the time, it was just kind of you had to really think about it to pick up on, as you said, those little details. But definitely, that I think towards the end is only when they would spoon feed you. Most of the time, you kind of had to almost work it out for yourself, which is kind of the fun of it for me, anyway.
Yeah. In hindsight, if you go back to the very beginning, there's a scene where Locke is explaining to Walt about the light and the dark.
Yeah.
And they were kind of force feeding us a little bit of, here's the theme of the show, ladies and gentlemen. You just won't know it for 5 more years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that it's amazing how much I'm sure in the writer's room, they're like, I think we need Christian Shepherd to just spell it all out or people won't get it. And so they do, and then people still didn't get it.
Yeah, no, it just went over a lot of people's heads, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose in terms of your guys' film, what do you hope fans of Lost take away from it? Like, what do you hope? Yeah, just basically that. Like, what do you want them to experience while watching it?
I mean, if you can watch this documentary when it comes out and have a tenth of the joy and the fun that Ralph and I are having, just reliving the moments, uncovering new, pieces of information, however small, about whatever. Not that we're going to answer the mysteries of Lost, but we're going to answer: did Eric Lang have a great time hanging out with Josh Holloway?
Yeah. In Hawaii, of all places.
Had a great time. But there's so much joy and love for this show, and I'm excited for people to just remember, bring these feelings back. I feel like we're Desmond in season 6, and we're going around to Lost fans, just sort of tapping them and going remember, just remember that this mattered. Yeah. And then also to a wider audience, people don't realize how much Lost changed television, and we take it for granted now. And that's sort of our underlying, our thesis here is as an academic study, and there have been a ton of academic studies on Lost and books, and people teach classes on it, but not very many people are going to take that class, and we can maybe get some of that information into a documentary for a wider audience of oh no, the show was doing things that you didn't even pick up on.
Yeah.
And here's, we're maybe going to Christian Shepherd it for people and kind of lay it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we're out here. I don't think we're here trying to change minds or anything.
No.
We're not trying to over explain things, but I feel like one of the main points of the finale is having a place after you die. You get to reunite with your friends, and there's I mean, who doesn't want to see all these people again? We absolutely want to see all these people again, and we hope we get to see all these people again. But it's one of those things where it's time for us to revisit this world
We have to go
And
back.
it's just been we have to go back. It's been just an absolute blast.
Imagine.
You know, I can't even like for anybody watching this, I hope the one thing that they come out, if they're Lost fans, that this movie is being created by diehard Lost fans.
Mm.
Everybody that you want to see in this movie, we want to see in this movie. Everything you want to hear from, any stories you want to hear, we want to hear too.
Yeah.
We just, I want to let people know that Taylor and I are doing this because we are huge Lost fans, and this isn't I don't even know. That's all I want people to know, is that we're fans. Like, we are doing this because this is something that we want to see as Lost fans.
Yeah.
And we're very excited. We've been shooting since December. And I gotta say, like we've just hit the barely the tip of the iceberg on what we're hoping to accomplish, and I think we're doing pretty good. I'm happy as a dude who's never done anything in film before, and I was super apprehensive when Taylor came to me. It wasn't like he said, "Hey, do you want to produce this movie?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, that sounds good." Like you would think if someone asks you if you want to produce a movie, you say, "Yeah, sure, of course I would. That would sound great." No, Taylor, I felt so bad. I said, "But I don't want to mess it up, Taylor. I said, I don't want to mess up your movie." Like, I was really apprehensive about it. And I think it wasn't until like day one, shoot one, where I'm like, "Oh, it's happening." Like, I didn't mess up the thing. I didn't, like, because Taylor told me, he's like, "Hey, I've done this before. You're not going to ruin it. The only thing you could do is make it better." And I was like, okay. And I have total trust in him. And I think it's been just a blast. Like this process has been crazy because I've seen footage. I was there for the interviews, but it never really felt real.
Yeah.
Until Taylor started sending me footage, and I'm like, "Oh my God, look it's a movie. Oh my God, this isn't like a DVD extra of Lost.
Yeah.
This is a feature length documentary about Lost. Like, it's not like, this is like, it looks great." And I know I might be biased, but I can't wait for everybody to see stuff. I really can't. But
we'll probably be posting clips before too long. I don't know when, but we've got footage.
It's so crazy because we've been teasing out like who's in the movie, and we've got plenty more down the pipeline, but like you know, I'm using my iPhone Pro to take those photos, and Taylor's using his phone to take those photos, but but I mean, you got to see the footage. The footage, oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I mean, I will say, I don't know if I said this off recording or at the start, but, I said I wouldn't ask about who you've got in the pipeline. I suppose my way around that question would be, were you able to speak to everybody in person, or were there any Zoom calls you had to make to speak to people for this?
Yeah, so that's obviously it's an indie film, right? And we're sort of paying for it out of our pockets, so we can't just fly around the world,
turn up at people. Yeah.
And there was one, so I got COVID when we were supposed to be filming what I think is a very important interview, which is with Jo Pinion. She's a huge part of the Lost fan community, and she runs Cancer Gets Lost, which, talk about an enduring legacy for a television program, right? Where it's not like we're curing cancer, but kind of, like, that's how important this show is. It's curing cancer. That's an exaggeration, but not that far off. And Ralph was there in person, but I had to be on Zoom because I was contagious with COVID-19.
Sure. Yeah.
But we did have cameras. We didn't
Yeah. No, we're
interview
not
isn't
recording
a Zoom
via
call.
Zoom. No, it's
Yeah.
all gonna
Yeah.
look like a movie. And if we can't make it, to some far off country, if we had to shoot something in London, like if we were interviewing you, we would send cameras to you,
Oh, right. Okay.
not mail them, but like send a crew
Yeah.
that's local to you, and then do it over Zoom. I just ask the questions over Zoom like you are now, but we'd still film it. Like this isn't gonna be. There's no Zoom based
Yeah.
Recordings.
footage.
Yeah.
I don't think we would do that. I mean, if like
Mm.
I don't know who's the craziest
Like
person.
I don't know any of the technical stuff,
Right.
Yeah.
but I
Right.
do know that this is shot in more than 4K, I believe, 4
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah, we're mostly shooting in 6K.
Yeah.
But that is to say, if a JJ Abrams wanted to hop on Zoom, we're not going to not record it.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's and JJ, if you're listening, we're happy to come to your house with our cameras and warning about it.
Right.
But if we
Yeah.
can get 15 minutes on Zoom, we'll take it. That's sort of the scrappy indie film style, but that isn't the goal from the
Yeah.
outset. It's all we're making a movie. This is supposed
Yeah.
to look like a movie, and there's things we film. It's not just interviews, right? We're doing B-roll and we're doing things that are
Yeah.
that are more cinematic than you can do in a Zoom call. Nothing against that, but also we're coming out of this pandemic. Nobody wants to watch Zoom call. No offense to this thing that we're doing right now.
Yeah.
that
No, of course. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do this every week.
watching.
Yeah.
But like nobody wants to turn on Netflix or Hulu and watch a Zoom call, so we're trying to avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah. As Lost fans, we want to make sure that this is the ultimate experience for Lost fans. And I've been just like, anytime we go to a new shoot, I get very excited. Very, very excited. Dude, it's been really, really fun. A little tiring. The night before we announced we had shot 3 big interviews, and just sitting at our computers drained, trying to come up with the announcement image, and just I could not type 4 words that made sense on this image. And I was just like, it's been so exhausting. After our last shoot, I came home. I took a 4-hour nap. I slept for 10 hours and then took a 3-hour nap, and then the following day a 2-hour nap. Like, and I'm just the guy who, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm just the guy who did the schedule and is coordinating like some of this stuff. But I mean, Taylor, you got to just be completely drained after these shoots. But man, when you get to see the footage and say you got so and so in the movie and we're doing this, and it's like, oh, you know what? It's worth it. It's totally worth it. I'm over the moon. And some of the
really
stuff that
fun.
we have to announce is just like, I can't wait to announce it. And I feel like with every announcement, people are like, well, what about this person? What about this? Patience to everybody. We have a very specific rollout schedule, and I can't wait to start.
But that is to say,
more.
For the folks who do keep bugging us about, the internet they would like to remind us that we should probably try to interview Matthew Fox. Like, we know.
Yeah.
We also watched Lost, and and my response to them is like, hey, if you see him in the grocery store,
let him know.
Drop my name, give him my phone number. Let's all be friends. But that's the fun of it, and it's really exciting for me just to hear Ralph. This is his first time through this process. I've done it a few times. It doesn't get old for me. The long days and it's physically super exhausting because we're driving all over and we're setting up and taking down and we're filming. Some of these interviews are 2 hours long, right? So it's not a short day, and it's mentally draining and it's physically draining and all that. But yeah, like Ralph says, when you get home and you just look at the terabytes of data that are a Lost documentary that didn't exist 3 months ago, you're just making a movie.
Yeah.
And, there's moments, there's things we've gotten to ask people about Lost that they've never been asked before, or it's new. It's as excited as I would be if they just said, oh, there's this other episode of Lost we forgot about, want to see it? Which that's, for a lot of people, that's the epilogue, right? And we've actually been able to show it to
the epilogue
who didn't know it existed, because a lot of people don't. But like, I imagine how excited I would be if somebody showed me new Lost right now.
Content,
like, it's not a reboot, it's not a thing. We forgot about this episode from season 5. Just had it sitting, something like that. How exciting that would be. And we're doing that. We're making new Lost in a way. Like, it's not, obviously it's not the show, but it's new Lost content 20 years later
for that same like group of fans.
Right. And as a fan, that's what I'm excited about. Like, every new little bit, when Sean Whalen is talking about getting shot in the chest with a flaming arrow, and it's not even that exciting of a story, which part of me gets really excited about the not exciting stories, because they're not going to make it into the documentary. That's like just for us, when there's a story,
right.
Or, when the cameras go off and they go, I couldn't say this on camera, but let me tell you, blah, 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 blah.
Ooh.
Like, oh,
those stories are fun. Those stories are real fun.
Wild. And no one's ever going to hear those stories except us.
Yeah.
So it feels like a privilege, as a fan of the show, to be doing what we're doing. And like Ralph said, we're just getting started. So
yeah, I mean, obviously we've been talking for like, I think an hour and a half at this point, and this is the last question I've got for you guys. And you kind of touched upon it already, but let's say, for instance, someone watching this, it's their first time hearing about the documentary, whether they're a future fan or someone who was in Lost, and it's like, I had no idea about this, and they wanted to find out more information. Like, how could they do that? Like, for either side of it.
For our movie specifically?
Yeah. I mean, if it's someone who might be a fan of your movie, or someone who was in Lost who hasn't heard about it, and if either party wants to get in touch with you guys to find out more information, like, how could they do it, basically?
Yeah, I would say gettinglostdoc.com has all the links to our socials. And that's the easiest thing to do. I mean, Taylor's been there's an email on there. Taylor's been handling the Instagram and Facebook side. I've been handling the Twitter. I mean, if you just want to DM us there, or use that email address. But like, we're open. We've been getting a lot of folks because we also are covering the fan base of Lost, getting a lot of emails and DMs from diehard fans around in the community. And I'm kind of hoping, like, the hope is, I wish we could get everybody in. I don't know if we can. We definitely won't be able to interview every fan, because I've come to learn that scheduling is quite the thing. Scheduling is tough. With our shoots,
probably come up with a way. I think there will be a way to include a lot of these fan stories. It's heartwarming. Like, we're getting stories that are like, oh, Lost changed my life for this reason, or I was in the hospital and the only thing I had to look forward to was Lost. And these are really heartwarming stories that matter, and that's part of the story we're trying to tell. Obviously, we can't go around and interview everybody, and this isn't going to be a 7-hour documentary, but do get in touch with us if Lost changed your life, because even if we can just put you in a collage, send your photo and we'll include as much as we can, because I know what it feels like to want to be a part of something that you love. The three of us love Lost. A million other people, probably
countless other people,
and it's exciting to try to be connected to it in any way. That's why I went to Hawaii and I crashed the stage so I could be like, I was there, and that's Jorge Garcia, and there's Terry O'Quinn, and he's practicing knife throwing, and I'm giggling like a small child, and it's amazing. But that is to say, like, just because we can't include everybody in the documentary doesn't mean we don't want you to reach out and tell us your story, and at the very least we can be friends, because we have this thing in common.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, obviously, very best of luck with the film. I know I will be looking forward to seeing it when it's eventually out, and I hope everything down the line goes well for you guys. And just all the best. Take care and good luck.
Thanks. You
Thank
too.
you.